Welcome back, everybody, to another live reaction here at I'm Not a Coach. I'm your host, Dave Werther. Thank you so much. And yeah, man, how you guys doing? Another live hangout here on Friday, just hanging out, relaxing. The draft is over. It's long past us. It's you look in the rearview mirror, you can wave, can wave. It won't wave back, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes it does. It's a little weird, but yeah. But yeah, man, it is we're officially into the off season, like deep into it. It's gonna be the only thing that we're gonna be looking forward to in a couple weeks is probably mini camp, training camp, all that good stuff. But that's still a few more weeks away. But yeah, man. But the good thing is we still have each other. We still have each other. No, okay, fine. David, how you doing? Oil the axe. I got my grandparents' house needs a new handle. Okay, well, I move occasionally when I swing it. Okay, hello. All right, man. Oil the axe, man. That I'm not gonna lie. That's like it's almost like how you started a war. You're like, oh, young man, oil your axe. We're going to war. I was like, oh. Feels like what's Gimli from Lord of the Rings. I feel like that's how he like gets himself psyched up in the morning when he's about to go into Mordor. He's like, "I'll be right back. I have to oil my axe." Oh man, can you tell I have not I have not really thought about football the last couple of days. Granted, the last two days I have been doing some paperwork on just a little bit of stats on the draft, but otherwise I have been, believe it or not, been avoiding football because after doing about 20 hours of live draft coverage, and I think it's less than 2 days, it was a lot. So I had to take a couple days off. But yeah, man, it's nice and it's nice to be back, and it's gonna be weird without like having like free agency, the draft, nothing to really look forward to outside of like training camp stories for a while. And we're gonna have first day of May, June, July. Gonna be kind of slow. Gonna be kind of we're gonna I guarantee there's gonna be some trades. The AJ Brown uh, story will eventually pop off at some point. That's something to look forward to. But otherwise, we're kind of waiting for the preseason, man. We're waiting for teams to work out who they have on their roster, build that offense, build the defense, things like that. But for the most part, the players, the coaches, there isn't going to be too much movement from for your team or mine. And yeah, man. So it's gonna be interesting. And I'm gonna keep covering the NFL, and we're gonna still continue. I'm gonna still continue to add stuff to the channel. I'm gonna get the Patreon channel as well going there, or the Patreon page. If you want, check it out. But yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun, especially around this time when there isn't as much to cover. It kind of allows smaller channels like myself to be a little bit more creative in terms of the content that we're gonna do, and we're gonna keep it going, man. It's gonna be a fun summer, and yeah, man. But how you guys doing, David? How you doing, my man? Hope the week has been great for you. And have you guys gotten a chance to really look at your team's draft? What do you think? Has your opinion changed? Has it kind of stayed the same? But maybe you found some of these interviews from your draft class a little bit interesting. Um, yeah, like Damani Jackson for the Packers. He was their sixth round draft pick, one of the first out of their sixth round draft picks. Yeah, man, he's a very very interesting kid, man. 5-star recruit coming out of high school, had a lot of like hype, and then he had a really good season. I think it was like 2022, 2023, really good season. But then it kind of injuries and then just a lack of consistency in play kind of brought his the little bit of that momentum that he had down. Then he transferred to Alabama and really had a solid season for the Crimson Tide. And yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting to learn about these kids as they kind of get a little bit more comfortable in their with their teams. Specifically talking about the Packers, One of the smallest draft classes they've ever had, the smallest in not only the Gutekunst era but also the Ted Thompson era. The Packers are a team that loves to draft in massive batches. I think they typically average around 7 to 8 uh, players per draft, or even over the last like 20 plus years. I think you have to go all the way back to before Ted Thompson was the general manager for the Packers in the mid 2000s to find a class that was basically this small with only 6 players drafted by the Packers. So yeah, hopefully the Packers can. I feel like they hit a lot of spots where there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these young guys to play not only a lot of football but potentially early football. I mean, they've been looking for a number one corner. Brendan Cisse has an opportunity to probably be the starter by the end of the season or midway through. Chris Clemens, he's going to be in the rotation early. Big, fast, athletic, can put pressure on the quarterback, but also can play the run really well. Um, the Packers are going to give every opportunity for this kid to take over one of those important spots over the middle, whether that's moving Devontae Wyatt to the outside a little bit, defensive end, right, kind of just inside where just the inside shoulder of the tackle, right around the guard. Um, and then you got once again Damani Jackson. That cornerback room was very thin. They've added a lot of new faces in that room. I think Brendan. Let me see. I'm trying to think here. St. Just, obviously free agency, and then the 2 draft picks right there. 3 new players that are probably going to be 3 out of the top 5 players that play that position for the Packers. They're going to be competing with Keyshawn Nixon and as well as Carrington Valentine for some starting snaps or some significant snaps coming into this season. Um, Trying to think here. Jagger Burton, moving like Jagger, I'm going to try to call him. He's going to be having. He's going to be. There's going to be a competition for that starting center job. He was already taking snaps. I think the last couple days when the rookies were coming in for rookie minicamp. So I think that's where the Packers are going to try to put him in first. But he does have a significant amount of starting experiences at both guard positions at his time in Kentucky. So he's a versatile guy. Wherever they can get the best 5 starting offensive linemen, that's what the Packers love to do. They don't really try to say, "Hey, you're just a tackle, you're just a guard." They always try to get these guys to play at least 2 positions and get comfortable with it. So I haven't thought about the draft people, but I've heard some great. The Chiefs draft decent. Yeah, man, I did like the draft class, man. They hit need. I was very surprised that they did not go with a fast, tall receiver early on, but they did pick up a couple of those guys after the draft. So I think it was a draft where I think the Chiefs knew that they needed to find quality that guys that could compete right away to play significant snaps either on defense or on offense, and then maybe save the projects, the guys that maybe not be able to contribute, year one, year two, for later in the draft or after the draft. So, which I understand they're a team that is, you know, went to 3 consecutive Super Bowls, had a chance to win 3 consecutive not too long ago, and I think they're trying to get back to that kind of being in that position a little bit sooner than saying, hey, let's not waste a year or two of our prime here. Who knows how long Andy Reid is going to want to be the head coach here. Who knows how long Spags is going to still be the defensive coordinator, even though I think he's had many opportunities to go be a head coach somewhere else, but seems to like his spot in Kansas City. And then obviously with Patrick, even with the injury, he's not getting any younger, and you want to make sure you can get at least 2 or 3 good chances to win another Super Bowl before um, you start thinking about a rebuild potentially. So, but yeah, Kansas City did a good job, man. Edge rusher, they hit the receiver where they needed to. Linebacker, running back, they double dipped there. So yeah, I did not have I didn't have too many issues with the way that the Chiefs drafted. There's a couple teams when I was looking back at their draft, you could clearly tell that they were reaching, but obviously their board is their board, and if they feel like it's the value, then At the end of the day, as long as you hit on the player, who cares if you overdrafted them? You know, you're not going to be complaining about overdrafting um, Xavier Thomas in the third round if he becomes a multi-time Pro Bowler, All Pro. One of the best players at his position. Nobody's going to be remembering that oh, you could have gotten him in the fifth or the sixth. Yeah, maybe you couldn't have. At the end of the day, you still got a great player and things like that. So, yep, 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 yep. Oh man, yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie. After sitting and like just kind of going off, man, it was. I went outside, went for a couple nice walks over the last couple days. It was nice. It was very nice. It got a little chilly here in Wisconsin. That tends to happen, man. Once football, it's a big event in football happens. It seems like the state of Wisconsin goes into a little bit of a cold front. Let me see here. Yeah, and the channel has grown a little bit as well. I think we were able to pick up, I think, two or three subscribers, man, during the last week basically. So kind of during the draft and a little bit after. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, so I do have a couple stats that I'll bring up here, but this early part of the hangout, I just kind of want to let you guys, uh, you know, let me know what you've been up to, man. Outside of football, it doesn't have to be football related. But yeah, let me know. Let me know. I'll look up if there's any. I didn't see any NFL news today, honestly. To be quite honest with you, nothing too crazy. So, oh, this just in. This was a what was it like 45 minutes ago, maybe? Yeah. So as of about less than an hour ago, the Indianapolis Colts have declined to pick up Anthony Richards' fifth-year option, which should come as no surprise. I think the Colts have been, I don't want to say out on Anthony Richards since his probably by the end of his second season, but they haven't really been pushing to kind of put him on the field, man, and it doesn't seem like he's developing. Unfortunately, whether that's the team lack of coaching or lack of proper coaching, or that's just Anthony Richards is just maybe not going to just not going to be able to develop into a starting caliber quarterback here in the NFL. Um, to be fair, we've seen guys, after 3 or 4 years of kind of bouncing around the NFL, they kind of come into their own. So maybe Richards is one of those guys. He's still incredibly athletic. Still has an incredible arm, man. That guy can just chuck the ball down the field. He's shown accuracy at times, but it's been inconsistent. I think that's the biggest thing, at least in terms of a mechanical issue. Um, I think he still needs to refine a lot of his mechanics. I wish he would go to a team that has a history of being able to develop these quarterbacks. Green Bay with Matt LaFleur, even going back to Mike McCarthy. Um, I'm trying to think. San Francisco has always seems to be doing a good job with their backup quarterbacks. Whether that's let me see. I'm trying to think here. Sam Darnold was part of that for a year. Um, let me see. Minnesota is another team that I think has done a really good job with their backup or quarterbacks over the last couple of years. Obviously, they do have um, a little bit of a bottleneck at the top. There's basically, I don't think there's going to be much room for Richardson to potentially win a starting job if he went there. But I mean, sit a year or two with a decent team and see what you can find. Find some opportunities in a year or two. He's still very young too. I've been monitoring the Rabel Rossini situation. I don't think it's done causing drama yet. I don't think so either, man. It is wild. Apparently during, I think Vrabel, I think he's potentially stepped away from the team for a little bit. There was talks of like potentially like marriage or family counseling that he's doing. I don't know if he's kind of doing that during the morning and then he comes back to the team or whatever, but or if it's like altogether just focusing on his family, get that situated and then come back. But yeah, it doesn't seem good at all. Um, it seems like it's only gotten worse and worse. Like Rossini is definitely lawyered up, which is probably a smart thing for her to do. She's resigned from her position at the Athletic. Granted, that was like I think close to 2 weeks ago at this point. But yeah, man, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be going away anytime soon. It seems like the NFL and the Patriots were trying their best to kind of, and I'm not saying like a collusion. I just think that anytime you're talking about organizations like this, they always want to just be able to kind of sweep the stuff under the rug because it's not like they're trying to. How do I phrase this? Because I don't want to contradict myself in the next statement that I'm going to make. I don't think this is like a behind like oh the NFL knew that Vrabel was doing this, so then I think it's more just like we don't want to deal with the backlash of this. So we're trying to see if we can just push this on the rug and then deal with it behind closed doors. But it doesn't seem like it's going away. I remember throughout the draft, the NFL didn't seem like they wanted to even like remotely acknowledge what was going on. ESPN, like all these other organizations were trying to like just seemed like they were just trying to avoid talking about it. But I think now with the draft is over, there is very little to talk about. And I think they know they're like, this is not going away. This just looks fishy. It looks bad. It's a bad for the team. It's bad for journalism, sports journalism at the very least. Yeah, it's not a good look. It is not a good look. So, and then keep on. Also, YouTube is just YouTube is just petty as heck. I just keep on seeing old interviews from Rossini from like the last like 3 to 4 years, and she talks about Vrabel quite a bit, even when the topic is not like the video is not about the Titans or Mike Vrabel specifically. She seems to bring him up quite a bit. So yeah, wild. So yeah, but I agree with you, David. I don't think that's going to be going away anytime soon. I think this is going to be kind of a month long, or I should say months long kind of drama, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into next year because, especially with stuff like that, when you get lawyers involved, it tends to slow things down and it kind of stretches it out. Haha, same. The algorithm is not kind to them. No, no, absolutely not. The algorithm is like, I bet I can make it worse. I bet I can make it worse. Yeah, the algorithm loves drama, man, which I respect sometimes. Yeah, so DK Metcalf is not going to have any charges brought against him um, during that altercation that he had with the Detroit fan. I don't even know if the guy was a Detroit fan because apparently he was doing that to Metcalf when he was in Seattle. So, but yeah, apparently no charges will be coming from that. So, and it just seemed like it was that guy was just being a douche, like like going too far to be a more than just heckling. And then Metcalf was obviously like just wrong for not instigating, but physically being involved in something that was just like, yeah, the guy should not have been doing that. Should not have been harassing you. He should have been kicked out. Probably should have been banned a long time ago. But you can't be grabbing people, man. Just can't be grabbing people. Oh yeah, I saw this yesterday. Calais Campbell, man, going back to the Ravens for year number 19 in the NFL. A 40-year-old defensive end, still playing and still doing a pretty decent job, man. Yeah, we're getting a lot of news from like fifth year options right now. Broderick Jones, the Steelers declined to pick his fifth year option up. He's dealing with a he had a season ending neck injury this past season, and it does not look good. It's one of those neck injuries where I think a lot of teams are going to be very weary of him, even if he becomes a free agent. I guarantee there's going to be some teams that are definitely going to be, uh, you know, quote unquote, kicking the tires on Broderick Jones. He's still relatively young. I think he only just turned 25 years old. He was really young when he was coming into the draft. And but yeah, man, anytime you're talking about a high neck injury, it just for a lot of teams and even for a lot of players, it's just kind of a no go, man. And it's unfortunate that it happened to Jones because I even though he hasn't been one of the best tackles at his throughout his 4 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's still a guy that probably would have gotten a decent amount of money as long as he would have stayed healthy, this past year and this year. He easily could have been a guy that makes 12 to 15 million a year. So I'm always a proponent of these guys getting their first big contract. So it's unfortunate that a neck injury is probably going to cost Jones either a lot of money or a long term contract, or worse, probably could end his career before it really got a chance to get going. Let me see here. Miles Murphy got his fifth year option declined. And then finally, the Packers did pick up Lucas Van Ness's fifth year option, which that was one of those where it was going to be 50-50. I think Lucas Van Ness has been underwhelming for the most part, but honestly, he might have had his best year last year. And if it wasn't for an injury basically midway through the season, I think he would have been I think it would have been by far his best season since his rookie year, where he really flashed quite a bit through the first couple. I would say the first 6 games, he really flashed quite a bit, but unfortunately, it just has not been as explosive as the Packers were hoping. It says right here, 8.5 sacks over 3 seasons. Definitely not what you were expecting. I think he might have racked up a sack and a half in his first game. I know he brought down Justin Fields in week one of his rookie year. But the Packers are a little thin at edge, especially with the Micah injury. They've added a lot of numbers to that over the last 2 drafts, but still, I think outside of Micah and Lucas, um, the guys that are there are either entering their second year, rookie year, or they're kind of rotational, undrafted guys that have been here for about a year or two in Green Bay. So dope dog walking time. Be back later. Right on, my man. But yeah, man. So not too surprised. I think the Packers. I think picking up his fifth year option is going to be like around, might be around 12 to 13 million maybe for that. Lucas Van he's now expected to make 13. There we go, 13.8 million, which is even for a starter, that's still relatively low end or on the lower end of a starting defensive edge. So I think the Packers, the way they look at it, they're either going to be overpaying Lucas Van Ness by maybe 2 to 4 million for his production, or if he continues to kind of go on that upward trend that he had last year, maybe it'll seem right, and they can add a couple extra years with a new contract extension this season. So yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think here. So yeah, so I'm not too surprised with the Lucas Van Ness stuff. Doesn't guarantee that he'll get a long term extension. We've seen the Packers kind of pick up the fifth year option and then just kind of move on. And I think what was it? I think with Savage, Darnell Savage from a couple years ago, I can't remember if they picked it up and but then added an extra void year at the end to kind of minimize it, or they just reworked a contract with him. Let me double check that. Okay, so yeah, this is what it was. So the Packers did pick up Darnold's fifth-year option back in 2022. That gave him a guaranteed 1 year, $8 million contract for the 2023 season. But then they later were able to convert some of that money into a signing bonus, and then added void years to that to kind of stretch out that contract. That it was able to lower his cap hit from what would have been like the 8 million to basically just a little over 1 million for 2023. And then after that, the Packers basically just let him go. So yeah, this is something that I think they're going to be doing with Lucas Van Ness, where I think they're going to potentially convert some of that into some bonus. That way, he doesn't have a $14 million cap hit on in 2027. They're going to probably convert some of that into a signing bonus, stretch it out over 2 or 3 years to minimize the um, the cap hit. And if he ends up playing well, they're going to say, "Hey, let's give you a contract extension, and we'll move from there." And if not, it'll at least give the Packers some room to maneuver during 2027, where they're going to have to deal with some of the bigger contracts that they've given out. Micah Parsons, obviously, they just gave Jaden Reed a contract. They're going to be potentially paying Christian Watson with a new extension as well. So I think that's what they're going to do with Lucas Van Ness's fifth-year option. They're going to kind of add a couple void years, convert some of that into a signing bonus to stretch it out. And if it doesn't work, they'll cut him. They'll spread some of that dead cap over the next 2 seasons in 2028 to 2029, and kind of like they did with Savage. Yeah, very surprising, man. There's a lot of players, man, in that draft that are not getting their 5th year options picked up. Man, we talked about Richards. We're talking about Broderick Jones, Murphy. Yeah, man, that was a draft class in the first round that just hasn't really popped off. There's been some really good players that came from that first round, but a lot of the guys, man, a lot of those top 20, top 22 guys were. I don't want to say they were misses. They weren't, but they just haven't been as explosive or in, um, as impactful as I think they were hoping. So, yeah, and then the Jets. Speaking of that class, they were able to pick up Will McDonald's 5th-year option. That was the pick. That was the player that they picked when the Packers and the Jets swapped first-round picks. The Jets moved down 2 spots, and the Packers moved up. The Packers picked Lucas Van Ness, and then the Jets picked Will McDonald. If only the Packers would have picked Will, man, because it was the same position, same kind of player, just with less production at Iowa State. And I think because Will was Iowa State, and then Lucas Van Ness was Iowa. I'm trying to remember that. Yeah, the Packers went with a guy with a little bit of a higher ROS and a little bit more of a potential just because he was younger. I mean, Will McDonald's already 26. He turns 27 next month, early next month. While I think Lucas Van Ness is barely 24 years old at this point. I think that was the biggest. That might have been one of the biggest factors in why the Packers went with Lucas Van Ness. I think he was 2 years younger than Will McDonald. Your local trash can. What's going on? Work sucks. I finished a 3-month job yesterday. I feel like Buffalo did what was necessary for the draft, not going overboard, which I like. 100% with you. Sorry, man. I'm sorry work is not going or hasn't felt great, man. But the way I look at it, man, is I've always seen it this way. If whatever I'm doing at work, if it's been great the last couple of weeks, it's only a bonus that I'm getting paid. If it stinks, at least I got paid. That's the way I look at it. I always try to find a silver lining in everything. Like, you know what, it sucked, but at least I got paid for all that. But yeah, man. But welcome, my man. It's good to see you. Good to see you. How's the week been for you? But I agree with you. The Buffalo Bills, man. They definitely they traded back. I feel like they still got some good quality, and at the same time, man, they found a lot of players that I think are gonna play some decent snaps. I think the defense they needed to hit it hard with a lot of numbers, and also at the right positions they did that, and I think they helped not only the middle part of their roster but at the bottom as well of this draft, and I think that's what they needed to do, man. I think they have a lot of guys at the very top that are still playing high level, especially on offense. But I feel like the defense, the middle part, kind of those rotational guys, and then the guys that are playing special teams, they needed to kind of reinvigorate, add some numbers, add some talent to those areas, and I think the Bills did it, man. Yeah, so yeah, Will McDonald turns 27 next month, and then Lucas Van Ness doesn't turn 25 until July. So yeah, so Lucas was 2 years and a month younger than Will McDonald. So I think that was the biggest, might have been the biggest factor, man, because I feel like both of their raw athletic um, scores were roughly the same. So yeah, but yeah, look at this, man. Bryce Young, slightly underwhelming. I think he's gotten better as the team has gotten better around him. C.J. Stroud, man, he looked like one of the. Honestly, he looked like a top 10 quarterback his rookie year, and it just seems like every season he's gotten just a little bit. I don't want to say worse. I feel like there's been. I think some of the bigger gaps in his game have not progressed as much over the last 2 seasons. But I think he's still one of the better quarterbacks. It just I don't know, man. CJ is one of those guys where I understand if they pick up his 5th year option because it's going to be probably cheaper than trying to sign him to a long term contract. Plus, it gives you an extra year to kind of gauge where he's at. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Will Anderson, I'm pretty sure they have already they gave him a brand new contract, so that was a kind of a little bit of an easy decision, even though it's a lot of money for a guy that I feel like only the last 2 years where he's really looked like one of the best players at his position. We talked about Anthony Richardson. They're not picking up his 5th year option. Let me see here. Jalen Carter, he's been really good. This past year was probably the first season where you can kind of say that he underwhelmed. Lucas Van Ness, underwhelming a little bit here. Broderick Jones dealing with a neck injury that could potentially it might be threatening his career there. Manuel Forbes, man, I barely have heard much from this kid. Like he's not even on the Commanders anymore. That's yeah. Spent 2 seasons with the Commanders, even though he was a top 16 overall pick back in 2023. Quentin Johnston, he's been a real, I don't want to say a miss, man. He's explosive at times, but it seems like it's only happened like maybe like there's only like 4 or 5 games in a season over the last 3 years that he looks like a guy that you can pick, that you should have picked up in the first. Otherwise, I feel like he's been a little bit disappointing for the Chargers there. Trying to see here who else. Mozzie Smith, he just got traded to the Giants not too long ago. So yeah, it's very weird, man. Honestly, the Commanders are a team I enjoy watching because they can ruin anyone's season. Sorry, Eagles. Very true. Even they can even ruin their own season by not making sure that their quarterback is well rested and healthy. Not protecting their quarterback, man, it's been wild to see for the Commanders, man. I still can't believe I saw that injury live, dude. That was such a gross injury, man, for Jaden Daniels. But yeah, there's some really good players from that 2023 first round though, like Bijan Robinson, top three, top two running back in the NFL, man. Jameer Gibbs, probably one of the most explosive players that has come out of the NFL, come out of the draft in a long time, man. Just a do it all back, and he can put up some big numbers. Christian Gonzalez, one of the better corners in the NFL, one of the top five players at his position. Jack Campbell, I remember when people were giving Detroit crap for drafting him so early, but he's turned out to be a pretty dang good player. Jackson Smith and Jigba, probably the best receiver last year. Zay Flowers has been solid, man. I kind of want to see his numbers, man. I feel like he hasn't had as big of a. Okay, his numbers have gotten better every year. Rookie year, a little over 800, hit 1,000 in 2024, and then last year 1,200. But the touchdowns, that's the biggest thing. His best season, he only has 14 career touchdowns. He had five his rookie year, four in 2024, and then five last year. So it's not bad, but especially for a guy that's that explosive, you would kind of want those approaching double digits to be your number one receiver. But bold take, the 11-0 Steelers in 2021 were frauds. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I think even Steeler fans were like, yeah, this team once they go to the playoffs, it wouldn't be surprising if they were one and done. And that's what they did, right? That was the year that they lost to the Browns, right? Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Bo Nix looks cooked. Have you seen the picture of his leg that went viral? I did not, man. Actually, no. Let me check it out. Bo, oh, come on. Bo Nix ankle. Gross. I'm trying to see here. Sorry, all the pictures I'm seeing are like low res. So let me. Yeah, he looks a little bow legged. Not trying to make a joke of the injury, but interesting. Yeah, that does not look good, man. Does not look good. But we'll wait. There's still a lot of time before they start playing. I guarantee you, even if he wasn't injured, he probably would not have played much or at all during the preseason. So Yeah, we're basically like 4 months, 4-ish months away from seeing what this what Bo looks like on the field. So he's got time. Yeah, and those are the scary injuries, man. Because like it didn't look like there was anything wrong with him after the game, and then all of a sudden, like minutes after they beat, um, my gosh, not the Patriots, Jesus, uh, just a few minutes after the game, man, like they were riding a high. They're going to the AFC Championship game, and then just yeah, Bo Nix is out. He's done for the year. He's not gonna play next week. And it's just like what? But yeah, man. Yeah, especially after beating Josh Allen and the Bills, man. That was just a deflating 5 to 7 minutes after the game. Like I remember, what was it, Perna and a couple other Bronco fans, like they were like losing their minds after the game, and yeah, that was just weird as heck. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the heck. Like it looks like I don't know, man. Like there's something obviously up with the knee there. Yeah, it's very strange. Kind of want to see what he looked like before. Maybe we can look past the game. Buffalo got. sorry, sorry. I didn't mean to bring it up. I'm sorry, dude. I'm in deja vu. Sorry, man. I'm sorry. Oh my god, dude. There's always like so much just garbage that you have to sift through, man. Like just. I know I'm gonna sound like an old man, dude, but I just wish the internet would go back to what it was looking like around like 2018. Because like you can't like you put exactly what you want in the search, and it just comes up with a bunch of like just a bunch of garbage, man. All right, so this is what it says according to. So this is according to Mile High Sports. This is a couple. This is probably right around when the picture was posted. uh, Bo Nix underwent a follow up cleanup procedure on his surgically repaired ankle following fracture sustained in the playoff. Blah blah blah. The photos of the post surgery swelling sparked concerns. Reports indicate that this was anticipated and the surgery was successful. So yeah, once the swelling goes down, it looks like he's gonna be that leg is gonna be looking normal. So no, man, you're good. I'm past it. I'm not gonna stop though. It's all right. It's all right. It took me probably probably a long time to get over the Packers losing to Seattle in the NFC Championship game. That was the Brandon Bostic botching the onside kick recovery. I'm not closing my eyes because I'm in pain. I'm closing my eyes because I'm trying to not see it. Yeah, no, it's trust me, man. Painful playoff losses are horrible, man. But you know, it makes it that much sweeter when hopefully your team wins it. 2016 summer will be the first little best thing ever. Oh man, Oh man, 2016, 2015, 2014. Those are the good times, man. As I was young, man. I was young. I had cartilage in my knees. My back didn't hurt. Oh, I could bend down without hearing creaks. It's good times. Good times. Now I'm just an old man. Old man. So yeah, so it looks like that picture is just like almost like hours or potentially like a day or two after the surgery. So a lot of that weird swelling that you see on the knee is going to go down, and then you're going to start to kind of see some of those muscles that are kind of inflamed probably readjust back. So, and on top of that too, like you have to, a lot of that is in the cast, so there's a little bit of deformation there. So a lot of the muscles and the blood kind of has to get back there. Then he's gonna have to work it, man. He's gonna have to work, build back that some of that muscle that he lost, especially around the shin, which is like really really easy to lose if you're not working out that leg for a couple of weeks or a couple months. Because even after, like, especially for like an athlete whose body is used to being at a certain condition, but even like a regular person, man, if you don't use a certain muscle, for even just like a month or two, your leg or that part of your body can start to atrophy pretty quickly, surprisingly. And yeah, you have to kind of reactivate the synapses, the muscles, and everything to kind of get back at it. So I'm assuming that's what we're looking at with this leg. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's going to be anything like dramatic or deformation. I would be surprised if that's what his leg looked like in even just like 3 months. All right. All right. So let's get to the first little statistic that I made for this for the draft. Hopefully you guys can see this here in a second. Just want to make sure it's not covering up my face because this handsome face, this handsome mug, you gotta see it, right? No, don't say anything. Stop laughing. All right. Here it is. So it's just a little. I always do this with every single draft. Um, I should have done this probably last year, but I just completely forgot about it. Plus, it's a little bit of like it's definitely a niche thing that I probably like that maybe some people may not. But I was like breaking down the drafts like this. So yeah, so basically, I kind of break it down per position by position, round by round. Kind of gives you a good indication. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me know if I need to make it bigger for the numbers, especially. But yeah, uh, thunderstorm at my house. Come on, damn it. Oh, sorry, my man. Yeah, man, it's been weird. It's been weird, man. The storms have been very very wild. The last couple months, the last month has been really wild. David, guess who's back? Back again. David's back. Tell a friend. There we go. I will, in fact, say something. The caveman face will be missed, but ultimately the new look is cleaner. Thank you, my man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, man. It's there's a time and a place for the caveman. I think I held on to it for a little too long, to be quite honest with you. But I was like trying to grow out the beard a little bit. I'm just hoping one day I can wake up and it's just like fully down here without having to work through that middle awkward part, but it wasn't happening. Was not happening. But yeah, so, but so yeah, so the reason I like to do this, at least for myself, it kind of tells you where the NFL felt the positions where where they were strong. Some positions you're going to see here, obviously they were big fans of them in the first round, not so much in the second. Um, but yeah, let's kind of go through the first column here with the quarterbacks. There was a total of quarterbacks taken, 10 quarterbacks taken here throughout throughout 2026. The first two came off the board, obviously in the first round. Mendoza and Ty Simpson. Simpson being probably one of the biggest surprises in the entire draft. Easily by far the biggest surprise in the first round. Even bigger surprise than Jeremiah Love, because I think a lot of people were high on Jeremiah. Like he was one of the top five, top three players, overall players in this draft, but nobody expected them to go to Arizona, who has about two or three backs that could easily be starters somewhere else. James Conner obviously was their top back last year before the injuries, and for the most part they still had a really good running crew. Backfield coming into this year. So the fact that they decided to spend the third overall pick on a running back is pretty wild. The Bills and Eagles game made me break my teeth. No, no, no. Never let a game get you that worked up, my man. I promise you, it's never worth it. It's never worth it. But yeah, but as you can see, the quarterbacks kind of dried up, and even the two quarterbacks that were taken in the third round were kind of seen as reaches, especially Carson Beck, because of how relatively low his ceiling is. He has a decent floor, sure. Could he be a starter in the NFL? Maybe, but he's never going to be a guy that you can realistically believe that he's going to be in the top 10. Just doesn't have the arm strength, doesn't have the ability to drive the ball down the field with velocity to be able to get into those tight windows in the NFL. And you'd be surprised how often quarterbacks have to make those throws in a game. Yeah, Carson Beck to me reads career backup at best. Um, so yeah, the fact that he was the first player taken in the third round is wild. Drew Adler is another guy that I think a lot of people were not super high on, but you could see the potential. I think he's a little bit more athletic than Carson Beck. Potentially has a bigger ceiling, but he probably had a worse 2025 than Carson Beck, who actually played really well. It's just once again, just wasn't the guy that is. It wasn't like a Mendoza where you can clearly see the vision of what he can be in the NFL. Carson Beck seems like he's kind of at his peak, but who knows? But yeah, and then after that, it was one in the fourth, one in the fifth, and then three in the seventh there. So that kind of tells you that teams they said that, hey, we probably need a backup. This guy played a lot in college. It's a seventh round draft pick. Let's just pick him. But for the most part, you can kind of tell during day two, there wasn't a whole lot of, you know, teams weren't really fighting for these quarterbacks. A lot of them were day three kind of talent at this point. So the ugliest game, the most controversial 2-point call. We could have ran it with Allen. No one stopped it the whole season, but nope. Let's overthrow Keon Goldman and lose 17-16. Yeah. Sometimes you overthink it, man. Sometimes they overthink it. Next, running backs here. The running backs, you could clearly tell that this was more of a day three kind of round. Draft for running backs. You had three guys taken in the first three rounds. Two of them in the first, obviously Jeremiah Love, and then his teammate Jadarian Price were taken in the first round. After that, it was just one guy taken in the third. I think it might have been the running back Keon Black. San Francisco picked him up in the third round. And even then, some people were saying that he got overdrafted. He's a good back. He can do a lot, but a lot of people had a fourth or fifth round grade on him. So after that, that's when you started to see the running backs taken in early day three. There were 6 of them taken off the board there, 2 in the fourth and 4 in the fifth. So this would have been a really good draft for picking up a running back in day three. There's a lot of guys that play a lot of good football, but maybe had a down year, transferred, didn't work out, or just simply kind of had to share a backfield for a good chunk of 2025. So running backs didn't get much attention in the draft, in my eyes. Am I missing something? No. Um, I think. Sorry, gotta get a little bit of water here. I think there just wasn't those guys that you're kind of used to seeing come out. Like the Bijan Robinsons. Again, there was Jeremiah Love. He was by far the most complete back, but also was just incredibly dominant. Um, but I think a lot of what you're seeing was, I think it was a weird year for offenses in college, just from what I one heard and also just kind of watched a little bit. Looking at some of the highlights for these running backs, if you look at their numbers, they were not getting as many carries as you would think some of these number one running backs did. Um, they were. It seems like the quarterbacks were very much trying to be kind of thrust, and I think it had to do with a lot of the receiving talent that you saw this year play significant numbers. And I think it had less to do with, oh, we have great quarterbacks in college, let's use them. I think it had more to do with, we have some really great receivers, and we have quarterbacks that are good enough to make them, be a threat. And I think that's what you saw. I think the receivers this year kind of took a little bit of the shine from the running backs. I think so. But like I said, Keon Black, Singleton out of Penn State. There's a lot of running backs in this draft that I think are going to be playing good amount of football over the next 2 or 3 years. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's two or three of these guys that become starters on their team after a while. Just because there's a lot of guys that could do like a variety of things, but just did not have the snap count or the touch count to be able to show that consistently and just be dominant. So I think that's what that was. But yeah, and then in the over the next two rounds, round 6 and 7, you saw five running backs get taken off the board. A lot of those guys in the back end, especially in the seventh round, were guys that had really good 2023, 2024 seasons, but either dealt with injury or lost their starting job in 2025. So, and I think a lot of those teams are just kind of banking to see if they can maybe get some of that 2024, 2023 form out of them, even if it's for, just the rookie contract. Let me see here. Wide receiver, man. Wide receivers, which it's either wide receivers and corner are always the positions that get the most players drafted. There's always roughly 30 to 30 plus for each of those positions that get drafted. It's just how many of them do you need? It just there's always so many how many that you need on the field. There's always at least two or three receivers in an NFL scheme, and then with corners, especially nowadays, like most teams are kind of playing in a dime set for the most part. So that means you're always having three corners for the most part, or three DBs on the field at all times, not including your safeties. So, yeah. They can do a variety of things: party, drive cars too fast, and occasionally play some football. You know, hey man, we all need a party monster, man. It kind of keeps the vibes going. Um, but yeah, man, this was a top heavy draft for receivers. There were five of them taken in the first round alone, man. It's and for the most part, kind of seems like the talent was there early on. Then after that, it was 12 were taken in day two, man. And there was a lot of guys, a lot of speedsters, a lot of like super athletic freaks. Ted Hurst, um, Chris Brazel out of Tennessee, both guys that are like 6'4", ran 4.4, 4.3s, and just physical freaks. And then you had guys that are a little bit more, a little bit smaller. Chris Bell, I think I'm remembering that correctly. The receiver out of UConn, who was actually a Wisconsin Badger for a while there before he transferred. Um, I think he was taken in this round as well. Might have been the third. But yeah, man, this was a heavy day one, day two draft for receivers. Man, there was a lot of taken, 17 in those first 2 days, and the numbers did not dip much over the next couple of rounds. I think the worst quote unquote worst round was uh, round seven. Only two of them taken. So yeah, so I think the NFL saw a lot of talent. This is probably one of the better receiving classes I think that we've seen, at least in terms of numbers, over the last couple seasons. Really heavy at the top. But then looking at tight end, man, only one was taken. That was a Sadiq in the first round. That was expected. There was no other tight end that had a first round grade coming into this draft. But what really surprised, I think, a lot of people, including myself, was the amount taken early in the second round. There was four, and then another four taken in the third. So a total of eight tight ends going off the board on day two. And I think when you look at some of the where some of these guys were ranked, definitely got overdrafted. It seems like at least three, if not almost half of the guys that went on day two were were either drafted sooner, significantly sooner in the round, or just completely drafted a day ahead of where they were probably supposed to go. So yeah, but for the most part, after that big run there, I think only another one was taken in the fourth round, but round five, man, six of them taken off the board there. That was where you find a lot of those uh, H back tight ends, guys that may not have the size or the receiving potential of the guys that were probably taken in the first couple of rounds, but are going to be versatile guys. Guys that can block fairly well, that can catch the ball in the backfield, still have enough good hands and some wiggle and speed to maybe be a little bit of a threat, but may not have the crazy athleticism, the elite um, blocking that you would want from a guy, and on day two. So I'm trying to think here what else. I think that's it for tight ends. There was 21 of them taken, so a pretty decent amount. I think a little bit more than last year. And then when it comes to the offensive line sections here, I did split them up into tackles, guards, and centers. The numbers are going to be a little weird. It's going to be the accurate amount um, overall, but so many of these guys were like what ESPN had them listed at tackle, but then CBS or somebody else had them listed at guard, and it's a combination of like where they played primarily in college or maybe their last position in college to where they're projected to play in the NFL, and some of them were, yeah, he was a tackle, but even though he's going to probably play guard, we're going to keep him at tackle. So don't get too caught up in the total of here. I try to do it as like just kind of offensive lineman. If I knew what the player was going to be playing in the NFL, then I put him at that position. But for the most part, I feel like there's going to be more. Um, there's probably going to be more guards in this class than there are tackles, even more than the difference that there is right now with this. But anyway, the big thing that I even spoke about this during the draft is the tackles, the true tackles, not guys that are tackles and names, but they're going to be guards. True tackles. There was five of them taken in the first round. All of those guys are projected to be tackles in the NFL, and that's probably where we're going to see them play over the next 2 years until proven otherwise. There's only three guards taken in the first round, which is surprising. I think a lot of people only had one, maybe two guys with the first round grade. Rutledge was kind of seen as a second round pick. And even some people even had Anaye later on in the first, potentially into the second round. So it's kind of, it was a little weird. But it was a heavy round one for offensive linemen. There was a total of 8 of them taken in the first round as I ended up learning because I had to take a couple shots because of that. Let me see here. Hold up. There we go. But yeah, over the next couple rounds on day two, very few offensive linemen taken. As you can see, round two, 0 tackles taken, 1 guard, 2 centers. The first 2 centers taken off the board there, but just 3 offensive linemen overall. And I mentioned that before when the Packers, as we were kind of getting closer to the Packers pick, I talked about how some of the biggest needs for the Packers, edge rusher, tackle, there was going to be a little bit, it seemed like there was a little bit of a gap in terms of where the Packers were playing, picking that 52. It seemed like it was very thin at those positions, and you can kind of see that with the numbers here as what, and you'll see what that looks like with the edge rushers as well on day two. But yeah, during the third round, still on day two, picked up a little bit more. 7 guys were taken, 3 tackles, 3 guards, 1 center. But then early day three, man, was a big day for offensive linemen. As you can see here, round four, there was a total of 8 of them taken, and then next round, another 8. So just kind of trying to find value. And you see that all the time with some of the better teams, in my opinion. Draft guys in round four, round five. They always go offensive lineman heavy early day three, because that's when you're going to be able to find the guys that maybe they didn't have the arm length to be, the guy that you wanted on day two. Maybe their feet are a little heavy, but they're versatile. Those are the guys that typically played different positions throughout their college career. They were never able to really stick at that one position, whether that was because of their struggles or maybe the team was able to find a better option for a little bit. But the most important thing is they were still starters. They were still playing significant football, playing good football, and that's where those guys live. Round four, round five, and that's kind of where you see a lot of guys that get taken around here. They tend to kind of play and start in the NFL, even if it's not at a Hall of Fame, All Pro level. If you can get a good starter in day three, that's a win easily. So, the numbers the rest of the way for offensive linemen. There's more guards. I feel like taken throughout the latter half of the draft there, round 6, round 7. And then the centers, the numbers never really were significant for centers, man. I think their best rounds were round 5 and 6, where I think there was 3 of them taken. Yep. But yeah, so center, kind of a quiet year for the center position, which makes sense because obviously tackle positions, there's right tackle, left tackles, and there is a difference. And then for guards, there's 2 guards every time. So the center position is usually going to be at a lower number, but I feel like even this year it was pretty quiet. Usually there's like around 13 to 15 of those guys taken. This year it barely hit double digits. So then we're going to be moving on to defense here. And edge rusher was massive during the first 2 rounds. Day one especially, 6 of them taken. Edge rushers, that can be defensive ends, that can be outside linebackers. I kind of combined them for the most part. So that's why when you see inside linebacker after the defensive tackle, there isn't like an outside linebacker position. Edge is guys that are going to be playing slightly off center, either on the line or just slightly off of it. Either way, their main job is going to be playing the run and getting to the quarterback. That's what their main job is. But yeah, in round 2, that number stayed the same. 6 edge rushers coming off the board on round 2. A lot of them coming early. There weren't many that were drafted in the latter half of round 2, and it was a pretty quiet round 3. Only 3 of them went off the board, and if you look at the numbers, man, it just didn't really pick up until the 7th round, when there was 5 of them taken again. So yeah, and those are the guys that are probably more just situational guys, probably guys that are going to be only going to be if they develop, they'll be playing the first and second down, primarily trying to get to the quarterback, hopefully, um, or just situational guys that are going to be playing special teams mostly. But yeah, it was a big draft for edge rushers. 27 of them taken, and a good almost half of them taken in the first 2 rounds. There was 12. So defensive tackle was very interesting. There's only 2 guys taken in the first round. Even Banks, the defensive tackle out of Florida, he was a big surprise because of his injuries and that he's been dealing with the last 2 seasons. So he didn't, even though he was a first round talent, a lot of people projected him to go on day 2 just because of the injuries. But day 2 was a big one for defensive tackle. There was a total of 8 of them taken off the board, including Big Citrus and Chris Clemens out of Mizzou, who the Packers took in the 3rd round. But yeah, man, there was a big class there, and then there was a little bit of a dip. Only 6 guys taken over the next 2 rounds. But then if you look at this, the last 2 rounds, man, 12 of them, 12 defensive tackles taken in round 6 and 7, which is just insane. And I think that just kind of tells you, man, a lot of these guys were maybe a little bit unspectacular in terms of what they were able to do in college, or just don't have the ceiling that you would want. But I mean, right there, those 12 picks right there, that jumped that number up from what was just 16 of them taken through the first 5 rounds to nearly 30 in the entire draft. So, yeah, this was a heavy back end for the defensive tackles in 2026. Inside linebacker, 1 of them taken in the first round, then 4 of them taken in day 2. A lot of them coming out of Texas. None were taken in round 3, which kind of just shows you that there's a little bit of a gap from what was perceived as some of the better players, guys that could start right away, that could compete right away. And then after that, it was more of guys that hopefully could be rotational guys, or at the very least, they would be special teamers. Because after none in the 3rd, 6 of them were taken to start out day 3. And then overall, just a total of, I think, let's see here, 17 on day 3. So, yeah. So I think the NFL was not too high on some of these on this class of inside linebackers. There's potential there for sure. There's a lot of crazy athletes that were taken. Jaden Duggar has a crazy Ross score. He was picked up by San Francisco. He was also brought in by the Packers on one of their top 30 visits. He's a guy that has like a pretty high ceiling, but may not develop. And then corner, man, is a position that I talked about earlier, where you're always going to see a lot of like a big volume, just the way it is. It basically always kind of mirrors the receiving position a lot of years. But yeah, only 2 of them went on day 2, man. There could have been 3, maybe 4. But if it wasn't for some injuries to some guys, I think that number could have been a lot bigger. Obviously, Jermon McCoy was probably the biggest name that fell into day 3, where he easily would have been a day 1 probably a top 12 pick in a season where he wasn't dealing with a potential knee injury. Cornerbacks and safeties are just receivers who couldn't catch the ball. Got him. Yep. They're usually the cockiest, man. They're usually the ones that talk the most trash. It's weird. It's weird, man. It's almost like you have to like psychologically like psych yourself out. It's like, don't worry, man. You're playing corner because you want to, not because you couldn't catch the ball. But yeah, man. But then that position picked up quite a bit, especially in round 2. Day 2, there was 8 of them taken off the board. 5 of them in round 2, including Brandon Cisse for the Green Bay Packers there out of South Carolina. Hopefully he turns out pretty good. But then you saw even more go in day three, man. Especially in the fourth round, where I think teams are seeing a lot of value with some of these guys that were just there. And I'm gonna tell you right now, as a person that was really looking at the corners, looking at a lot of film, um, there's a lot of guys with a lot of like crazy athleticism, good size, or good speed, great ability to kind of find the ball. But there's just a lack of something, man. Guys that either can't really play man or they're not comfortable in playing zone. It's just like there's always holes, big holes with some of these guys, and then that's where coaching comes in. You're hoping that you can smooth out some of these things, elevate the good stuff that they already do into being great, and then some of the stuff that they're weak at, bring it to a position where it's becoming less of it turns into a liability and more into a position where they can make a play here once in a while, playing that kind of style, doing this at a certain spot. Yeah, there's a lot more questions with some of these guys this year. It wasn't the best corner class, but there is a lot of potential there. But unfortunately, that does take time, takes resources, and that means that some of these guys are not going to be ready to play in year one, or if they do, they're not going to be playing at a high level. So I think that's where and I think that's kind of where you can kind of gauge how the NFL sees this class. If they're not drafted until the sixth or seventh round, if there's like a big number that doesn't get drafted until then, this was a super weak class. They don't really see them as guys that could start. But if they're drafted in that fourth and fifth round, I think it's more of like there's tools there that we can develop, and then potentially down the line, this guy could be something. So, but yeah, there's a total of 12 taken in the first two rounds of day three, the fourth and fifth round. And then only one was taken in the sixth, and that was Demani Jackson out of Alabama. Roll Tide, baby. Green Bay. Let's go. Hopefully he is the one of one in the sixth round. And then they finished strong with 4 cornerbacks taken in the seventh round. So I feel like this class of safeties were, even though the number is not as big as the corner, I feel like the quality was a lot higher. There's a lot of these guys that were quote unquote highly overdrafted, but if you look at their career numbers, they played well. They played well in 2025. They played well in 2024, but because of the lack of athletic ceiling, or just simply maybe even their team just did not play well overall, I think some of these guys might have slipped. Instead of being drafted in day 2, they got drafted in day 3 instead. But anyway, if you look at the numbers of safeties, it was pretty consistent across the board. 2 taken in the first, and then 6 of them taken on day 2, 3 in each round. Only 1 was taken in the fourth, but then that number spiked in round 5 there, with a total of 6 taken. None in the sixth, and then finally 4 in the seventh. So kind of heavy in the middle there. Day 2, early day 3 was a big jump there for the safeties, and I think that's just kind of overall how some of the defensive backs were kind of seen. Where it's just like maybe not a starter right away, but hopefully down the line he can develop. Roll Tide, baby. And then finally, kicker and punter. None were taken in the fifth round, which is a huge mistake. You always take your kickers and punters in the first round. All the best teams do it. It's never a mistake. You can never go wrong. All right, now that the Vikings and the Chicago Bears and all those other teams are gone, good thing you don't take them. But anyway, they were not picked. Punter and kicker were not taken until the final 2 rounds. There was 2 of them taken in the sixth, 1 punter, 1 kicker, including Trey Smack That, all on the floor. Smack that. Give me some more. Smack that. Till you get sore. But yes, there was a punter taken, I think, early in the middle round of the 6th round, and then Trey Smack finished off the 6th round with the Green Bay Packers selecting him. And then his teammate, the punter, out of Florida, was also picked up. He was the only guy taken in the seventh round in terms of special teamers. So two punters, one kicker in 2026, and two of them coming out of Florida. Florida was able to get both their special teams aces drafted in this draft, their kicker and their punter. So so yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you a better idea of kind of where the NFL was seeing the value of certain positions and where they were seeing a lack of in terms of some other ones. So yeah, I think tackle, offensive line was either you found your guy early in day one and then early part of day two, or you're gonna wait until the latter half of the third and into the fourth. And then for quarterbacks, it was just kind of like you either get the top two and then you hope you roll the dice and find somebody that is better than where you drafted them, except for Carson Beck, which is still blows my mind to take him in the third round. But yeah, man, this is also another draft where you saw a lot of running backs taken in the middle of the draft. So all right, now we're gonna get to some of the funner parts, something that's less nerdy, hopefully. And this one is not gonna be as long to talk about. But I wanted to break down which school had the most players taken. And I know, David, I'm sorry. I I tried to rig the numbers as best I could, but it just kept on coming up. Ohio State. Sorry, man. Um, sorry. Oh, actually, hold on. Give me 1 second here. Where are you? Where are you? There we go. There you go. Fixed it. Fixed it. So the University of Ohio Poop, or so, as some of you guys call them, Ohio State. They had the most players drafted in this in 2026 with 11 players coming off the board. Man, it was a good year for the Buckeyes in terms of the NFL draft. Not a good year for them on the field. Unfortunately, they did not go that far in the playoffs. But you know, you do what you can. But four of them were taken in the first round. That is also the most that was taken by a single university in a single round, especially in the first. And then they had eight players uh, taken through the first 2 days. And so, yeah, so four in the first, and then another four taken on in round two and three. So, once again, a lot of high end players. You can do the math after that. There's only three other Ohio Buckeyes taking the rest of the way. But yeah, it was a surprising number by a single university. And then finally, not finally, but continuing on, 10 players were taken from Alabama and the Texas A&M Aggies in this draft as well. So not too surprising. Alabama has been, I mean, over the last 20-ish years, 25 years, has been just pumping out NFL players at a clip. But the Aggies, I think this is the first time I've seen them at this many players taken from them. They had a great year. Didn't end. Unfortunately, they kind of went one and done in the playoffs. It did not end well for them, but they kept it going, man, and they had one of the best seasons in their entire university's history. So, and I think obviously with 10 players taken, I think that was pretty indicative and a little bit of an indicator of how great they were this year. And hopefully that keeps it going, man. It's always fun to see players out of that university come out because they always seem to do well, even when they're not drafted. They tend to stick around. David, woo, yes, thanks. Anytime, my man. Anytime. But then the next couple universities here, man. 9 players taken out of Miami. Obviously, made it all the way to the national championship. Texas Tech, man, also producing some high numbers with some players taken very high. And then finally, Clemson, who is another SEC team that always kind of has a good amount of players taken in the draft. Usually, they're getting close to that 7 to 10 range almost every year. So let me see here. I always kind of have a little bit of statistics for some of the teams here. Alabama had the most players taken in day 3. So of those 10 for Alabama, 7 of them were drafted from rounds 4 through 7. So not many high draft picks as we're used to seeing out of Alabama, but still, uh, whether you're drafted in the 4th round or the 7th, man, that is still a good indication of a program that is getting players ready for the NFL. Let me see here. Yeah. So keeping it going, Miami with 9 players, not too surprising. Most of them coming from that defense. Um, their defense was probably the most impressive part of their game this season. And then Texas Tech, also a team with a little bit of balance, but I think it's still veered closer to the defensive side of the ball. And then for Clemson, good amount of their receivers. One of their quarterbacks, obviously, Klubnik was drafted by the Jets. But yeah, man, they're another team. T.J. Parker coming out of Clemson. So yeah, the Clemson Tigers continuing to put up some numbers in the draft there, man. SEC always just dominating. Finally, Georgia, Indiana, and Penn State with 8 players taken from each of those schools. Shouldn't come as a surprise with Georgia. They've been pumping out freaking players over the last 5 years. Most of them coming from the defensive side of the ball. It didn't change too much this year. Penn State, same thing defensively for the most part. I think I'm trying to think here. Can't really think of too many receivers that came out. I know both of their running backs were taken. I think during day 3, and then I think Drew Aller was their other offensive guy, but otherwise I think it was all defense after that. Um, but yeah, so and then Indiana, probably by far the most that they have produced in a single draft in a long time. Obviously, won the national title, had one of the biggest improvements by a program in a single year. The first player taken in this draft was a Hoosier in Mendoza, and they didn't really stop the rest of the way, man. They were, and there's a nice little stat that I'll bring up here in a little bit, but Indiana was impressive. And then finally, to round out the top 5 here, there's a handful of teams that had 7 players taken: Florida, Iowa, LSU, Oklahoma, Oregon, or Oregon, if you say it that way, and then finally Washington. All of those programs were able to produce 7 players drafted in this 2026 NFL draft. So a good amount. Honestly, not too surprising by Iowa. They have quietly produced 5 to 8 players every draft for the last like 10 years. Mostly defensive ends, tight ends, as well as, I'm trying to think here, cornerbacks as well. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think like Dijon Cooper, Dijon Mustard there. Uh, Almost half of the freaking tight ends in the NFL are probably from Iowa. And then finally, their defensive ends. Lucas Van Ness. We talked about him. The Packers just picked up his 5th-year option. So yeah, Iowa always just quietly having great drafts. And then Florida, LSU, Oklahoma, Oregon, Washington. They always tend to produce a good amount of numbers, especially Oregon, especially. But yeah, so nothing too crazy. A few more stats here that I didn't get a chance to kind of make a graphic for. But Florida and Indiana were the only 2 programs to have a player drafted in every single round. So yeah, I'm trying to think here. Indiana had 1 player in every single round except for the. Sorry, I should have had that ready. Except for the first, they had two players taken in the first. That was Omar Cooper as well as Mendoza, and then after that, they had one player drafted in every round after that. And then for Florida, they only had the one player drafted in every round, but still, it kind of shows you the quality of your program. You have it from top to bottom. They had a first all the way through down through the seventh. We're able to have a player drafted, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, only those two teams or those two programs were the only teams that were able to produce players in every round. And then finally, the saddest statistic is that Wisconsin did not have a single player from their program drafted. That is the first time since 1978 that Wisconsin did not have at least one player drafted. So, which is not too surprising because they had one of the worst seasons of their entire program's long history. Though they did have a handful of former Wisconsin Badgers that transferred out this past year get drafted. Riley, the H back tight end for Indiana, he was with Wisconsin for his first I think 3 years before transferring to Indiana this past season. And then Bell, the receiver out of UConn, was with the Badgers for I think 3 seasons as well before transferring to UConn in 2025. So technically not Badgers, but former Badgers were at least drafted. So, but yeah. Come on, where are you? There you go. But yeah, man. So just a few fun little nerdy stats about the NFL draft. It was a weird one. You can kind of tell that there was like some big gaps for some positions and some big gaps for some schools. Man, it was a weird year. I think it's only going to get weirder as the NIL deals continue to kind of roll. I think eventually over the next 10 to 15, maybe not 15, over the next 5 to 10 years, I think there's going to be some type of system that is going to be able to help regulate maybe some of this, not necessarily trying to keep players at programs. I think I think it's exciting and it's beneficial to the players if they can move, but I think for some of these guys, I think the money might be putting them in bad positions where it's going to cost them money in the future or potentially a chance to get drafted in the NFL or at least get drafted to where maybe they should be. Because you saw a lot of guys, man, they transferred and their numbers did not get better. They got worse, or their playing time got worse when they transferred, even though they were probably getting paid more. So it's going to be interesting how these draft classes are going to be looking. And I think next year, especially the quarterback class, it's going to be significantly better. There's going to be a lot more guys taken in the first round, in the second round. And I think you're going to see the number of um, um, edge rushers also kind of increase as well, because I think there's a little bit of a gap. Offensive line, I think there's going to be a better quality in day two next year. But that's kind of what I've been looking and kind of just seeing. It seems like those positions that were kind of dead in the early to middle part of the second round are going to start to kind of be a little bit of an uptick next year in 2027. So, yeah. But hopefully you found that interesting. Sorry, that is something that I like to do every single draft. But let me know. Let me know if you like stuff like that. And next year I'll have a few more graphics and maybe a little bit more of like a trend. I think if I can do this over the next like 5-ish years, there maybe we'll do like a retrospective of what it's looked like over the last 5 drafts. Like what position has been the weakest in round 2 or round 3. What position has been the strongest maybe in day 3 or something like that. So we'll keep it going, man. We're gonna keep it going. But yeah, man. Before we head out, if you guys get a chance, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, man. It helps out the video a ton. It's a great free way to support me. But if you want to support me in another way as well, consider joining the Patreon. You can join for free, test it out, see if you like it. There's going to be more things that I will be adding as we get closer to the season. The posters, I'm going to try to do posters for every single game that I'm going to be covering. At the very least, I'm going to be doing them for the Thursday night games, Sunday night games, and Monday night games. Those little kind of like what I call matchup posters are going to be exclusive to Patreon. You can, but you can join the $1 tier as well to get even more exclusive stuff that I will be adding not only through the summer but also into the season as well. But yeah, man, that's just another way to support me, man. Once again, you can join for $1 a month. It helps me continue to kind of put more time into this channel, which I love to do. But yeah, man. So, but either way, man, if you're just watching, I can thank you so much, man. I appreciate you guys. You just watching and just kind of commenting and chatting with me throughout these live streams is always the best part of it. So, thank you so much. And yeah, we're gonna keep it going. I'm just gonna try to. We're gonna keep these going every Friday, no matter what. I'm gonna try to add a Monday night as well every once in a while. I don't know if I'll be able to do it next week, but if I do, there will be a post, and I will let you guys know. So yeah, so at the very least, you'll see me next week on the 8th of May, and yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling, man. Statistics are interesting for sure. I agree. I agree. It's always fun, man. It's you can find little trends here and there. Doesn't always indicate anything too wild, but sometimes it does, man. Sometimes it's fun, and it also in a couple years we can kind of look back at them and be like, dang, dude, some of these running backs should have been drafted way sooner, or dang, they overdrafted the edge rushers because there's only one guy that was worth a day one or a day two pick. So it'll be fun, man. And that's also something I'm gonna be doing, obviously, in a couple of years as well as I cover these drafts. In 3 years, 4 years, we'll look back at what I said or kind of what the overall consensus was on certain players and certain positions, and we'll kind of do a little bit of a retrospective on those. So those are going to be kind of down the line, but that's something that I'm always considering doing. Those are always fun. But yeah. Before we go, does anybody else have anything? Did I miss any news? Anything that I should touch on before I head out? I didn't really touch on the Diana Versini, Michael Vrabel stuff, really. Um, just because I don't think there's been anything truly new in the last like week or so. I feel like it's still the same kind of stuff, and I guarantee you that story is not going to be going away for a while. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg is looking at maybe buying. Oh, honestly, I barely read Seahawks. All I heard was Mark Zuckerberg is considering buying. And I'm just like, no, no, that dude should not be buying anything, nothing. That dude should still just be in a in whatever little single dorm, being a weirdo. That dude should not be holding any kind of power in this world. I'm sorry. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know, man. Those I think I've said this before. I think if you become a billionaire and you sustain being a billionaire for a long time, there's just something up with you that I don't trust. I'm sorry. Who knows, man? Maybe I become a billionaire and I become a hypocrite, but I wouldn't feel comfortable having that much money ever. And if that ever happened, I would be giving it just to some, like, I don't know, some random nice people that I see, like, hey, I remember you were like bus drivers, dude. I remember when I was like, in college, the amount of times that like bus drivers saved my butt when I either didn't have enough money to get to school or whatever it was. Like those people, I have a fantasy of like if I ever became a billionaire, just like handing them like $1 million would be awesome. Just like taking care of people that like just do kind things for random people for no reason. So I don't know. That's what they should be doing, to be honest with you. Like that's what Mark Zuckerberg should be trying to do. You know, you know, people that are just doing nice things, significantly nice things that change people's lives on a daily basis. Those people should be rewarded somehow. That's my opinion. C-Straw! What's going on, brother? Good morning, good morning. How you doing, my dude? Seastrom, how's the week been treating you, my man? How was your weekend? And yeah, let me know. Let me know. Good. Hey, there we go. There we go. Been a busy week. Busy in a good way, in a bad way, a little bit of both. Yeah, man, you guys are. I don't know when your school year ends, but I mean, you got to be getting real close to the end here. You're probably within the last like 3-ish weeks, maybe 3, 4 weeks. A medium way. There we go. Okay. Balanced, as all things should be. We end at the. Okay, sweet. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's, here in Wisconsin, we go into June. I think it's only like the first like maybe week, but yeah, I don't like it. I feel like June is like it's summer, man. Like these kids shouldn't be in school in June, but that's Wisconsin for you. Okay, so at the end of May, it's not bad. Just wrapped up state testing. Oh, that's why. Oh, all that's left is some AP exams, one last small unit, and finals. There we go. There we go. That's even then. That still seems like a lot to squeeze in a month, but you got this, my man. I try. I believe in you, man. You got this. Do you mind if I ask, like, what year is this for you as an educator, my man? Yeah, one of my family members, she's been in education for closing. No, I think she's about to finish her 13th or 14th year. Yeah, man. And it's so freaking weird, man. Especially Wisconsin, it's changed quite a bit over the last 15 or so years. The union, the educators union got um, basically just destroyed. Like around, I think it was 2008, 2009. There was a big like recall election because of it. Um, it was a Paul Walker, not Paul Walker, Scott Walker. Jeez, I wish it was Paul Walker. Probably would have been a little bit better. Scott Walker, that was a big like his lobbying kind of busted up the educators, the teachers union here in Wisconsin a long time ago, and it's been a struggle for educators for a while. Also, you don't have to tell me how long you've been in education, my man. I was just curious. But yeah, man. All right, man. AP exams. Luckily, I don't think I was ever. I could have been. I should have been probably. But I was never. Didn't apply myself enough to be in AP courses in high school. Um, but luckily, I did better education wise when I was in college than I did in high school. I was a little bit more. I liked the independence and the freedom that college afforded me. So I feel like I did better in that kind of environment. Yeah, in high school I was not a great student. Teachers liked me even though I didn't do well in their classes consistently. Um, but I was apparently um, well liked by most of my teachers. This is my first year as a full time teacher. Before that, I was in college and working. Oh, there we go, man. Dude, congrats, brother. Let's go. Heck yeah, man. The rookie year is over. I mean, almost over, almost over. But yeah, dude, congratulations, my man. Heck yeah, David. I took college pre-prep classes in high school. There we go. See, I should have done that, man. It would have been significantly cheaper. Significantly cheaper. Would have gotten a little bit of a head start, and I probably would have graduated at least a full semester earlier than I did in college. Yeah, that poor kid, man, knew nothing about the world, man. Had no idea what he was doing. I'm not talking about myself, by the way. Yeah, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old Dave was thought he was the best thing since sliced bread, man. That kid knew thought he knew everything. It's a good thing about life, man. It humbles you pretty quickly. So it looks like the sorry, I just saw this pop up here. Packers are trying out Chase Claypool, who was a former Green Bay Packer target a couple of years ago. I remember when he got traded to the Bears. The Packers were kind of in the mix there. Thankfully, they did not because that dude did not work out anywhere he went. I forgot what the heck did the Bears trade for? The Bears traded a second round pick in 2023 for Chase Claypool. He played 10 games, less than 200 yards, and one touchdown for the Bears for the cost of early day two pick. Packers dodged a bullet on that one. All right. Heck yeah, man. All right, guys. Let me see here. Claypool, more like Clay moves. Like he's in the pool. There you go. There you go. Claypool. I mean, it's a cool name. I'll give you that. Claypool. Let me see here. What's his dad's name? What's Chase Claypool's dad's name? Come on. Let me see here. So Chase's mom, his name is Jasmine, but his dad's last name is or his name is John Mensa. Okay, right on. Guess Claypool is from his mom's side. Anyway, sorry, getting sidetracked here. ADHD just kind of going off. All right, guys. But I think that is it for me today, man. Hopefully, like I said, we'll be doing this every Friday. I'm gonna try to pepper in a Monday, um, basically almost every week. May not be able to do it this week, but once again, if I do, I'll let you guys know. Because I'm gonna try to keep these live streams going for kind of do 2 every week. Just because one, I like hanging out with you guys, man. You guys are always fun. I always appreciate your support, and that way we can always I can kind of give you guys where I'm at here, what we're gonna be doing throughout the summer. Yeah, like I said, this summer I'm probably gonna be going to the World Cup. Probably gonna be going to a game, so hopefully I can record some stuff, and then hopefully I can upload it and kind of tell you my experience. This is the first time I'm gonna be going. Um, yeah, it's gonna be wild. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, we'll see if I can actually get tickets. But we're gonna be going. We're gonna be in that environment, and hopefully, at the very least, there's gonna be some great people that we get to kind of hang out with, that love soccer, love sports, and the community, the whole thing. So have a good one. What city are you going to for World Cup? We're still not completely sure. Um, it's either gonna be because they're doing one in Chicago and Houston, aren't they? Let's see here. Yeah, sorry. Let me double check here. Um, oh no, so they don't have one in Chicago. Never mind. So yeah, it'll probably be one of the ones in Texas, likely, or potentially maybe even Kansas City. So as we get closer, I will definitely let you guys know. So yeah, man, if because I know some of you guys are from these areas, man. I know some of you guys are from in the Texas area, in the Kansas City area, kind of. So yeah, man, so that'd be pretty cool. So there are some in KC too. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man. But I'll keep you guys posted. It'll likely be somewhere in that Texas Midwest area for sure. Like I don't think we're gonna be going to LA. We're not gonna be going to Miami, New York. Like that's just kind of seems like it's too much. There's already a lot of people there. And yeah, having the World Cup is not going to be less people. So yeah, it will probably be some of these lesser known cities or some places in Texas likely. So but yeah, as we get closer, I'll let you guys know. Who knows, man? We might go to Vancouver. No, no, no. Yeah, it's gonna be wild, man. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be so much fun. Like I said, hopefully I can get into a game. That'd be awesome. But if not, man, there's always some really cool stuff happening around the stadiums. A lot of great people, and honestly, that might even be like more of an interesting thing to do because you get to speak to people, talk about what kind of brought them here, and kind of go from there. So yeah, either way, man, I'm gonna try to do some stuff, and we're gonna keep it going. So yeah, for it might if we ever if I'm able to do that and find some really great like interviews and stuff like that, this channel might turn into a soccer channel for a couple weeks. So definitely let me know if you will be in KC. 100%, my man. 100%. Seastrom, Texas. I got some family in Texas, so that might be an area that we go to for sure. So, yeah, man, let's go. Oh man, I keep on forgetting about the World Cup, man. I kind of remind myself like every couple of weeks. I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna be in the U.S. and or the North America, so it's gonna be cool, man. Yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for Mexico, man. It's like I said, I'm especially with anything, I'm always rooting for teams to win there first, and Mexico is just one of those countries that just has so much passion, man. So much passion for soccer that the fact that they have never been to a final, never been, almost had like that reward of winning a World Cup is it's a travesty to be true. To be honest with you, and there's a lot of other countries as well that probably deserve it as well. But I don't know, man. It'd be awesome to have a North American team be able to win it. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll catch you guys next week. Have a great one. Have a great weekend. And let's keep it going, man. Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Dave, and I'm not a coach. Thank you. Have a good one, David Seastrom. Appreciate you guys. And your loco as well. Shout out to you. Bye. Oh, for sure. Mexico is one. No roof for. Heck yeah. Viva Mexico.